What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and this video is going to be an important one. It's going to be one that I hope the likes of Philip DeFranco and Ethan and Hila Klein can see, because I think that the FUPA for Freedom account that is a real tragedy, but it's not one that we can't fix and turn around. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the FUPA, which is the Fair Use Protection Agency, it was a legal fund that was established to protect creators and also serve as a great deterrent. And it is something that just about everybody with means decided to back and get behind. You had people that, Ethan Klein and Hila Klein were very critical of, coming together to donate money to protect fair use. And I'm hoping that this is going to be another one of those scenarios. Now, a brief history. Now, Ethan and Hila Klein, back on May 24th of 2016, put out a video called "We Are Being Sued." And in that video, they itemize or explain exactly what's going on with Matt Haas Zone, which was a YouTuber that they had made, from what I can tell, a single reaction video to. It's what they did. Something that we all would assume is fair use. And again, I want to be very clear. This isn't a bashing Ethan and Hila Klein video. It really isn't. And I hope that if Ethan watches this or somebody gives him the breakdown on it, that he'll understand that while there is some criticism here, ultimately what I want to do is turn this around and make it a good thing again. Make FUPA great again. So they talk about getting sued, and at 3 minutes in the video, they talk about essentially that Matt Haas is trying to bully them and extort them for cash, which I agree.
He says he already wrote up the lawsuit, and he says, remove it, never talk about me again or this situation, and pay me $4,000.
It's like, you either do this in the next 24 hours or I sue you.
We could pay you $4,000, but like, what's the precedent that like anytime we make fun of someone, they could just write us a note from a lawyer and demand $4,000?
Yeah.
I don't care what the amount is. Ethan and Hila Klein were 1,000% correct that they had to fight this, regardless of the money, because of the precedent it would set. Because if anybody who gets butthurt about a video that is critical of them or makes them look funny or whatever, memes on them, and they would have paid that money, well, then that scumbag lawyer would have then gone to basically everybody out there and said, well, hey, I got money out of Ethan and Hila Klein. I can get money out of Keemstar. I can get money out of Philip DeFranco. I can get money out of Mr. Beast, or whatever they want, right? And if there's a precedent there, then it becomes much more difficult to fight. And right before this, old-timer YouTuber, many of you might not even remember him, Ray William Johnson, had essentially lost in court something like 40 cases of fair use, where he had reacted to videos, showed clips of videos that were owned by, you guessed it, Jukin Media. They ended up settling out of court, but I'd say he took the L on that. So defending this was very important, and I still have the utmost respect for Ethan and Hila Klein for standing up. And look, I don't care that they had the financial means for it. It doesn't discount the amount of stress that they had to go under. So anyway, this is why I backed FUPA in the first place. Then a little later in the video, they talk about how Bold Guy demands they promote him, which is absurd.
And then his last one, which was by far my favorite. He says, okay, listen, you don't have to pay us the money. You don't have to accept guilt. All you need to do is make a video on your main channel promoting Bold Guy, talking about how you respect him as a creator, apologizing for using too much of his content, post it on all of your social medias for 2 months.
2 months.
For 2 months, underline for 2 months. We counted it, guys. 2 months is legit. We need 2 months from you. Okay, can we get 2 months? Can we get 2 months from you?
And share a few of his other videos.
Share several of his videos.
Yeah.
So again, I want to remind you that this isn't a video to roast H3H3 Productions. They've done a lot of good. They've also made mistakes. Look, anytime anyone's been online, as long as they have, You're going to have some goofs and some gaffes. I mean, I'm sure I have had some. I've had things that didn't turn out right. I've had some bad takes. It happens, and you've got to just accept that. But, you know, probably my all-time favorite video I've ever seen on YouTube might be H3H3's video on the saddest cooking show of all time. It was just...
Sadness means feeling no pain.
Whenever I'm feeling down, I go to that, and I do miss those days of, you know, the reaction videos from them. But I understand that they've changed, and, you know, the podcast isn't my thing, but so what? I mean, that's fine. I'm not mad at them for that. And at the end of this video, throughout the entire video of them getting sued, at no point did they ask for money. In fact, at the end of the video, they made it very clear that they knew they couldn't ask for money.
I mean, on Patreon alone, you guys have given us like $50,000 over the course of our lifetime. I looked at it recently. I'm like, we can't ask you guys for more money. All we can say is thank you so much.
That they were in a position where, look, we're big YouTubers. They obviously knew that, you know, that's why it's the same reason that like H3 couldn't necessarily keep a Patreon forever, although they did have one for a while, but once they got bigger, I'm sure they closed it. And ultimately, that's just part of the unwritten rules of YouTube. The unwritten rules between YouTubers is a complex thing, or it's an interesting thing, but it's not complex. Like, you don't strike other people's videos. If you have more than 1 million subscribers, it's frowned upon if you are, you know, if you have a Patreon and subscribe star, although I don't care. But these are just the kind of the unwritten rules of YouTube. And, you know, you don't straight re-upload other people's content. You respect fair use. You move on, you live to fight another day. So the next day, Philip DeFranco put out a video called Big YouTubers Are Being Sued and Shut Down. Oh, heck no.
YouTubers H3H3 Productions are being sued by a fellow YouTuber.
And in this video, DeFranco rightfully defends and promotes the FUPA for Freedom account. Essentially, he put 5K of his own money in.
This is a huge deal, which is why, as of recording this video, I am starting a GoFundMe to raise money for Ethan's defense. Also, as a way to get the ball rolling, I'm putting $5,000 of my own personal money into this fund to get things started.
I don't even remember how much money I put in. I should probably look at my email. Obviously, it wasn't 5K back in 2016. But the very next day, he establishes the fund, and it raises, as of what I can see officially, $170,765. Now, I want to talk about that money first. A lot of people who are younger and haven't paid taxes or haven't had to go through this type of thing or don't run a business, I get it. But you see a huge number, like 170,000, and you're like, whoa, 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 wow. Remember, they have to pay taxes on that, somewhere near 50%, okay? So it's not 170,000, it's like 90,000, which is still a lot of money, okay? That isn't to diminish this amount of money, but remember that you still have to pay for the lawsuit. Like, when I went through a lawsuit, I wasn't able to, not only was I not able to write off the cost of it, but I was not able to, and I still had to pay a large tax on the GoFundMe money that was raised for me by Ethan Van Sciver. So I don't know how it shook out for them, because if he was suing them directly, or how they had the company set up. So maybe there's a possibility they were able to write off the cost of the lawsuit. I know I wasn't, but regardless of that, you've got to pay tax on this. So they got about 90 grand probably clear of taxes, which is amazing, awesome. And so they put out a new video called A New Chapter for Fair Use, where in this video, they talk about, we completely understand that, you know, we're not going to use all this money.
Now, we fully realize that people aren't supporting H3H3. Most of them are just supporting fair use.
Yeah.
We received so much money. We're not going to use all that money. You guys gave us so much money. Right now, it's like $120,000.
No, yeah.
Well, they ended up using all of that money, and they said that they were going to put it in an escrow account, which I believe they did, and that will be used to only protect fair use.
That money will not be used for any other purpose. We will never see a penny of it. It is going straight from Philly D's campaign into an escrow account for the sole purpose of protecting fair use.
which is an amazing thing. They also donated $5,000 of their own money to the escrow.
We decided to donate $5,000 of our own money into the GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Because even though you guys gave us the money to defend ourselves, we're also a member of this community.
And they established essentially at that point the Fair Use Protection Fund, or FUPA.
So we will be the first client of this account that will be known as the Fair Use Protection Account, also known as FUPA. And even now, guys, the FUPA continues to grow. The FUPA shall protect all of us.
It's created a Twitter handle which currently has 41,000 followers and hasn't had a single tweet since September of 2016. It's been abandoned. Later in the video, they also say they promised updates on how the money would be spent. Well, that never happened. You know, from what I can tell, from what I think is the most logical situation here is that every penny that went into that FUPA account was used to defend Ethan and Hila Klein, which is fine. It was supposed to do that sort of thing. But then people, I think, you know, fair or not, will look at the fact that, you know, they built a very expensive podcast set, and they just, in October last year, they bought a $9 million Bel Air mansion. So people rightfully are like, yo, you know, you bought a $10 million mansion, which you earned, okay, that's fine. But it just, the optics of it isn't great, all right? It's like, well, maybe. And I think we can save it. I really do. I mean, to me, I haven't found any evidence that they didn't spend all the money. I saw screenshot bills where Ethan and Hila Klein had spent $50,000 on their lawsuit in just the first month. So it's entirely likely that they burned through the entire $170K, or if you adjust for taxes, maybe $100K on this lawsuit. They probably spent well beyond that. For example, I can say for my interaction, we'll call it, there was something like 30,000 raised, 35,000 raised, which meant I cleared 17,000 on taxes. I spent probably 3 times that on the court case. I never went back to double dip and ask for more money, but you know, it's just how it goes. Lawsuits are very expensive, especially if you are, I don't know, working with a high-powered lawyer and against a stubborn person like Matt Haas was. But I think this doesn't have to stay a tragedy. I think that we can refund FUPA. The core idea, the core attraction of FUPA was that it was going to protect YouTubers who needed protection from fair use abuse, and that it was going to serve as a war chest to effectively act as a deterrent for anybody looking to abuse YouTubers. So what I'm asking Ethan, Hila Klein, Fine Bros, Keemstar, and myself, I'll put my money where my mouth is too, is that we revive FUPA. And that, look, if H3H3 doesn't want to manage it anymore, then we find somebody who can. I think that it's reasonable that they pass it off to somebody else, but we should also, as a YouTube community, refund this. And that includes Ethan and Hila, who won their lawsuit and clearly have done fine financially. I'm sure they would be fine plunking down some cash to rebuild this war chest. The biggest tragedy of this is that the war chest has been forgotten, and outside of Ethan and Hila Klein winning their lawsuit, not a single other YouTuber has ever been protected by FUPA. I want to change that. I want to refund FUPA. I want to make FUPA great again, and I want new management of it, and I want people who would take advantage of other YouTubers to be on notice that there's a war chest 6 figures deep looking to protect any other YouTuber. So Ethan and Hila, please work with me. Let's coordinate this. Let's get FUPA back up and make it what it was meant to be. And Hopefully this video will get a little bit of traction and people will share it around, and you'll take notice and mention it or talk about it. I'm not the guy to do it. I don't have time to manage it, but what I do have is, you know, I could put my money where my mouth is. I'll throw in 5 or 10K to get it started too, but I just got to trust like that it's in good hands and somebody that's really going to spend time to manage it and actively protect the brand and protect YouTube creators. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.